Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast, the podcast for real estate agents absolutely everywhere. I'm Lisa B, and during this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything real estate. What's working, what's not working, AI, automation, technology, EXP Realty, and absolutely everything to do with real estate. I'll have guest speakers as well, where we'll answer your questions from the Facebook group, Let's Talk About Real Estate. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, make sure you do that now, and we'd be happy to help answering any question. And again, welcome to the show. James, Stacy from Port Lincoln in South Australia, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
I appreciate the opportunity.
This is exciting, number one agent in EXP, and you are the silent achiever. You know, there's a lot that are out there that are very loud, do lots of things. You just do your work, you're very the humble salesperson. That's what I love, very, very quiet achiever. So today, what we're going to talk about is your top 10 tips for success for real estate salespeople. So I'm really excited about that. So if you wanted to just start off just a little bit about yourself, just like, 2 paragraphs about your history in real estate and sort of why somebody should listen to you, because you know how salespeople sort of go, they sit back and they go, yeah, but why would I listen to that guy? Yeah. Give us a little bit of your history and why somebody should listen to you. Like I know, but sort of, talk yourself up. This is a chance to, not talk yourself up, tell the truth about what you do because you're amazing.
Not be such a quiet achiever. James obviously operate in Port Lincoln, South Australia, which is 700 kilometres west of Adelaide if you're driving. Regional centre, population of about 15,000 is my primary market. And there's about 8,000 homes in Port Lincoln that I service as an agent. I've been working in real estate for about 11 years now, give or take a year. Have been with EXP. It just went my 2-year anniversary. So in January, I've capped both years and iconed both years, which was great. My market in terms of average sale price is about 480K. My market predominantly is bread and butter properties for Port Lincoln. It's mum and dad sellers, mum and dad investors, no big developers, no massive investment groups or anything like that. It's dealing with mums and dads on the ground. I transact year on year probably about 70 homes in Port Lincoln and the surrounding areas. The biggest year I had was 84. I think that was in 2019 or 2020. Might have been the first year of COVID. We obviously had a lot of demand and appetite for regional South Australia at the time.
Okay, so tell me now, who's the better agent? One that makes 5 sales and brings in $1 million, or somebody who makes 70, 80 sales and brings in $1 million? To me, the more transaction is the better agent.
You're definitely sharper in your skills because you have to be. It's a volume game. I would rather much deal with people like me than dealing with just people that owned $15 million homes and sell 3 or 5 of them a year and make really good money for yourself still. But you're not dealing with enough volume, and you're probably not going to be as sharp long term with your skills, and you probably have to train a lot more and maybe even have to pretend to be someone that you're not, which is what I don't like doing. If I was rubbing shoulders with people that owned $5 or $6 million homes, I'm not that person myself. So who am I to tell these people that they're financially more secure and better at probably investing than me? So who am I to give them advice on selling their most valuable asset? Do you know what I mean? So I think it's you can't really be a pretender in this game. But you do, like I find that I deal best with mum and dad sellers, probably slightly higher. The median price in Port Lincoln is about 380. My average sale price is about 480. So I'm dealing with more sort of family homes than just the average property. I think a transactional agent has a lot more merit than someone that just picks up 2 to 3, sales a year. And sometimes these guys that sell, a development site, $10 million development site, they might just pick up and rub shoulders with these big developers and just pinpoint guys that own farms and just, dangle the carrot, dangle the carrot, dangle the carrot. Like, credit to them. Like, it's hard work. It's still a grind, definitely. But they're getting rewarded a lot for what seemingly could be not a lot of work as well.
That's right. So, you are, yeah, high performing, high transactions, and your skills have to be good because you're dealing with people, every day. You're transacting a property every week, sometimes 2, 3 a week, aren't you?
Definitely, yeah.
Your skills are very well sharpened. So you're very much qualified to talk about this topic. So the top 10 tips for success for real estate sales. So if you could please, I'm going to write them down as you speak as well. So can you tell us number one?
So what I've sort of got for you is probably top 10 things that make, in my opinion, a good agent. Okay. I think number one is communication. Communication in this game, obviously paramount. Number two is integrity. Do what you say you're going to do. Don't overpromise and under deliver. And I think integrity goes from acting with, from trying to obtain a listing right through to the sale of that property to a buyer, and then right through to the settlement process as well. Having high integrity is obviously really important. Number three, sorry.
So can we just say, so, back in the olden days, it was like, agents would say, I've got another offer and things like that. Be truthful, be honest and all that sort of thing. Act out of
Yeah.
You'll get caught, you will get caught. I know so many agents now that have been caught because they've said things in properties while they're walking around. There's cameras, security cameras. You never know where there's a camera. They've been caught doing that. I always say, act like you've got the media following you, because they are, it's like,
not only that, but people have recording devices and apps on their phones as well. And if you're not recording a conversation, someone else may be, and you don't know about it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's always talk to someone like you've got someone else watching.
That's
definitely.
right. Integrity on. Yep. Okay. Sorry. Number three.
Yeah. Number three is knowledge and market knowledge. I suppose knowledge in both the real estate industry, and so you become a bit of a core. So you've got a bit of influence in the market as well. Like, I get a lot of valuers call me, bank managers and solicitors that want to catch up with me just to pick my brain over certain things as well. So I think knowledge is power in this game as well.
Yeah.
For me personally, transacting 70 odd homes a year, time management's imperative. I think to be a transactional agent, once you're getting even 30 homes a year, like, time management is really imperative. And that comes from, that's not just, I'm managing my day right. That comes down to, like, blocking out time for prospecting and committing to that time for those tasks as well that we should do day in, day out. The best in the business and the guys that are the top 1% of agents, they do it all. They're just master prospectors. That's all they are. And master communicators. They're really good at getting a point across. Number five is definitely negotiation. I think negotiation, it could also be the number one thing that makes a great agent as well, negotiation, your ability to negotiate a deal and read the play. I used to work for, I was in car sales before I was a real estate agent. So you've got a lot more practice in selling cars because you're dealing with a lot more people. But I had a principal there that used to say to me, a good negotiator knows when to be someone's friend, but then knows to when to turn up the heat and go business mode, like, straight up. And it's like, you can be friend. And then when the time is right, negotiation hat goes on and it's business talk. But you've befriended this person, you've got them in your court, so to speak. They're on your side, and then negotiation becomes a lot easier. And there's like a ton of
So tell me, what's harder, real estate sales or car sales?
Real estate sales is probably harder. Depends what market you're in. I've worked in all sorts of markets now. Look, and I've said this in many group chats and a couple of podcasts before, but literally in 2020, 2021, and the majority of 2022, if you had a Facebook page and a pulse, you could probably sell a property,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's the reality of that market.
Yeah.
Pre 2020, yeah, you have to have some, bit of negotiation knack about you. Depends on what market you're in. I think moving forward, if things do start falling apart, and we're talking about prices maybe going backwards, owners having negative equity, and those sorts of things, that's where you really got to earn your money as a master negotiator and a master marketer, and getting the maximum people through those doors. So I'm be fortunate enough that I haven't come across anyone with negative equity now for about 2 years. But I had previously dealt with negative equity all the time. Like you've got to be in a situation where we're either going to sell this property or we're going to not sell it. Like that's the reality of it for the people. Number six, it probably comes in line with problem solve in negotiation a little bit, is problem solving. You've got to be a master problem solver. You've
That's
almost got to think outside the square.
that is the job, isn't it? We are problem
Yeah,
solvers, estate agents.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's really, yeah, yeah. Sorry, go.
You think when we get called into business, it's upsizing, downsizing. People generally have a reason to sell their property. Upsizing and downsizing are probably 50% of the market. The other 50% are deaths, divorces, and the bank, the 3 Ds. So really, in those in that 50% of the sales, you're really coming into someone's life or people's lives where they're at a very tense standoff in their life. Maybe it could be a matrimonial. You become a problem solver. And the other part of the transactions where they're upsizing or downsizing, you're trying to get them from place A to place B with minimum discomfort as possible. And that takes a really good problem solving ability. And sometimes you're collaborating with people you wouldn't normally want to collaborate with, other agents and things like that too, that may be competitors, but you've got to still be, put your business hat on, be like, no, I'm doing this. I'm working the best interest of this person. This is the way forward to make this happen for my vendor.
Like you said, stress is like death, divorce, the bank, up,
Yeah.
down. So like they're all so stressful, such
Yeah.
stressful situations and in all of it. So, and I always say like real estate agents should buy and sell every couple of years. So you remember what the vendors go through, you remember what the buyers go through. I had a friend stay here recently and they were looking at property and it was just a nightmare. Agents didn't get back to them. Property sold. They got outbidded and it's just awful. So we've got to remember that that's what the people are going through, and
Yeah.
we've got to have that empathy. It's not just a transaction, it's somebody's life.
You've got to remember as well that people are like they're also putting like buying real estate into the same as like these days. It's a bigger decision than obviously buying a microwave from a shop, but the speed at which people want to buy things and the speed at which people want information these days, and is so much faster because the information is so readily available. And I did again another podcast on this recently about the way the buyer behaviors, and people are researching so much about properties or agents before they make those initial contact that they're 90% the way there before they even talk to an agent in terms of either buying the property or actually engaging the agent. They've done the 10 things to style your home, the top 10 things. There's so much information readily available on domainofrealestate.com. They're putting out information so much all the time that people do their own research. And then it's a matter of like, okay, let's call the agent out. They've got the inside information now that we need to make the sale. And that's what, it's like, what can a vendor find out from public and what can't they find out? And you want to be that person that can deliver what they can't find out.
That's
From
number
the internet.
3 is the knowledge. It's like, you go
Knowledge.
to the doctor and say the doctor says you've got something. That person's going to go away, research and read 5,000 articles on it, go back to the doctor, and you're going to know more than the doctor.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you have to know your patch, you have to know your area, you
Yeah.
have to know, like you said, the legalities, the market knowledge, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just going to look silly. It's
Yeah.
just the 101 in real estate is know your area, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Number 7, for me is probably matching, or the ability to match. Again, this comes down to problem solving. They probably cross over a little bit, is matching people with property. Again, not so much in the last 2 or 3 years. But I remember the days where someone would come in or call me up. And I'm still getting phone calls and emails weekly from buyers saying, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you have anything like this coming up? We used to get, someone coming to us and say, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. And then you'd be like, oh, there's nothing suitable right now, but I've got some properties coming up that will be suitable. I'll try and get you through those, as soon as possible. And you try and work with them as best as possible. And sometimes buyers don't really know what they want. They just see what they like. So I actually find the best way to, match people with properties. I actually ask them, one, have they made offers on anything before? Because it gives you a real insight to what they're actually looking for. But two, I go through and say to them, look, go and do some research yourself. Jump onto realestate.com domain, look through the sold pages, and tell me 10 properties that you would have bought, regardless of when they were sold, 10 properties that you would have bought if they were on the market now, right? Let them do the research for you. They come back to the 10 properties and you can match them with something that you might have coming up. It makes your job so much easier. And yeah, so let them do their own research, I suppose.
And your number 7, match people with property. That's real estate simplified, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's our job, and we make it so complicated, but it's just find a buyer, find a property, and you've got it. You've got
yeah.
the deal, don't you? Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, and that's where it comes into. I mean, that's who we are as real estate agents. That's why people engage us to actually sell their property. Is that 10% of that what that people can't do themselves? Is 90% of selling a home people could do themselves. The
Yeah.
10% is where we actually add value to a transaction. I mean, anyone can put a property on Facebook. Anyone can do this and put a price on a property and advertise on what they want and accept an offer. And a contractor or a solicitor can do up a contract. What they can't do is really tap into the buyer's emotions and really tap into that hidden 10% or hidden 10% of the price as well. So number 8 for me is master marketers. You'll quite often get a lot of crossover from different industries that become really good real estate agents, both from a marketing perspective and usually a service-based industry like hospitality. Those people make great real estate agents because they understand what good service looks like. But yeah, marketing, people with a marketing background. And I think Lee Martinuzzi has a background in marketing as well. I think he's one of our top performers at EXP. Number 9, attention to detail. I think it's really important. And that's both from a legislative point of view and a general operational point of view. Legally, you want to get the paperwork right. You want to make sure things are right. You want to make sure you're advertising the right land sizes, bedrooms, bathrooms. You're calling a bedroom what is actually a bedroom. If it doesn't have a window and it's a centrally located room and there's no skylight, it's not a bedroom. I mean, I'm pretty sure a bedroom has to have a window or some form of natural light in it to become a bedroom. So
Because it's covering your butt, isn't it?
absolutely,
People are looking for reasons now to sue people. It's sort of like, so you've always got to be covering your backside. Like, according to RP data, it's this, according to the solicitors, according to this, according to the building and pest inspector, but making inquiries, you've got to cover your own butt, don't you? It's so litigious now. So
yeah.
attention to detail and disclaimers.
Yeah, yeah, and you should never rely on RP data or any data to determine the land size for a property. Order a title and get it off the title. It's the only way to do it. Calculated land size. And I think number 10 for me in terms of what makes the most important, like this is probably one of the most important parts of this game, is dedication. Like, you really have to be to become a really good real estate agent. You have to be 110% invested in being a good real estate agent or being a good agent. Is the dedication, because you know what, it does take a toll on your family life. It does take. I don't care what anyone says and how good work-life balance they say they've got. Your name's on a signboard 24/7. Your name's on the internet 24/7. Your phone number's on the internet. People are going to call you. And your success will entirely depend on, one, how many times a day you're answering your phone and getting back to those people. But it's dedication as well. It's knowing that when you're at work, but it's also dedication to say to yourself, look, now's the time that I need to switch off, put the phone down, and have that time. So dedication is really important.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? How do you switch off? Like, when you get home, how do you switch off that you're not thinking about work 24/7?
It is difficult, and I think anyone that excels in any business or industry really does live and breathe that industry. So as a performer, it's hard to switch off. But I think you've got, like, I set limits on my apps. So my phone literally tells me when I've spent an hour on social media for the day, and sometimes it might be just posting content for my social media pages, but it's time on social media. And it's easily to get distracted. But switching off is, when you live and breathe real estate, you follow the pages, and I'll talk about social media again. You're trying to switch off from real estate, and then you jump on your social media pages, and it's just filled with properties. And my wife always picks up my phone and looks on the social media, because it's my news feed is different to her news feed. Obviously, we like different stuff, but mine literally is like postings, properties, agent apps and things like that, and curses of holidays and kids and fashion and
All right. So it's hard to switch off, but you really have to, don't you? Otherwise you go
you,
crazy. Whether it's to just
you
turn.
definitely, like, I don't work personally, and I'm fortunate enough in my market there, being a regional area, that Sundays are really a down day, and a lot of families are out and about on Sundays, going out to beaches, fishing, camping, and being away. So I've probably worked 5 Sundays in an 11-year career. Like, it's really, yeah. So Sundays are a downtime.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one question for you. So if I was to pick you up out of Port Lincoln and drop you, say, into the Gold Coast, right? So tomorrow you have to start working on your career. So you've got no database, you know nothing, you don't know the law, you don't know anyone here. What would you do to get going to become a successful salesperson here?
Yeah. So for me, like, picking up and starting new, and I think we discussed this the other day about legislation in different states, because it is so different, state to state, and programs and platforms are so different. So I think you really want to align yourself with a couple of businesses that are, living and breathing in the market which you want to be known in. So if you've got, say, a space of, you want to be known in a patch of 1,500 homes or something like that, say there's 3,000, 4,000 people there, there's going to be a broker that operates in that area. There's going to be a solicitor that operates in that area, a couple of solicitors that operate in that area. And it's just aligning yourself with businesses that are in that area. Make yourself known to them, pick their brain. Obviously, it starts from a training point of view. But you want to be, like, for me, there's no better way. And I did this every week for the first 3 years of my career. I went through every home open that I could in Port Lincoln, like
Yep.
every home open that I could. Not to scope, not to snoop, not to try and be known or whatnot, but I was literally there getting market knowledge. What $300,000 bought you in the market? What $400,000 bought you in the market? What $500,000 bought you in the market? And literally knew every property in and out. It also come down to when I was pricing properties, really helped with that as well, because then I could use that knowing I had actually been through that property. It achieved 500. I know the footprint layout. This one is very similar. Helps you price a property, and you can go in with confidence in pricing properties as well. So literally, as a new agent in an area, I would attend as many open homes as you can. And if you want to be known in open home and in the home market, and you're in a market like the Gold Coast where there's a lot of apartments and there's a lot of homes, do one or the other. Right? Don't try and do both, because they're different buyers.
Yeah.
They're not, and they're very, like, in my experience, again, I'm not in the Gold Coast, for instance. I'm not in the Gold Coast market. I'd imagine an apartment market is a very different buyer to someone that wants a 4-bedroom home with 600 square meters of land. Like, they're not going to cross over. So go to the properties what you want to be known for or sell, and pick homes that do transact. People, family homes are great to focus on, because people usually transact them, 5 to 7 years as things change and families, kids grow, kids move out of home. The families are always transacting properties.
Perfect.
Number two, like, for me, again, like what I did when I first started EXP, in Port Lincoln. No one had even heard. I mean, before I didn't even heard of EXP before. But when I first bought EXP, I was already one of the lead selling agents in Port Lincoln, but no one knew who EXP was. So I really wanted to affiliate myself with that brand. So I had a 6 meter by 1 meter billboard put up in what was the main street of town. And rented the space. I've still got the billboard up now. It's outside of the Woolworths shopping centre here.
Yeah.
But it's still seen by about 2,000 people a day.
Wow.
It's just high exposure, and it's not saying anything. It doesn't say request an appraisal. It's not asking for business. It is just EXP on 3 meter, like literally EXP logo, my head, and my contact details on the other side. That's all it is.
Fantastic. Okay.
Facebook and social media are imperative
Yeah.
to building brand really, really quickly. So I'm talking like, you're obviously not going to have stuff, and if you're new to an area, you're not going to have many results to boost and home sales and posts and stuff, but you can still reshare content, and you can still, put it out there. I know we've had a couple of agents move states and really start fresh and ring me and sort of tap into what I would do if I was them. The next thing is, and this is a little bit cheeky, but it's property-centric prospecting around other agents' listings and sales. Generally, agents are going to be, especially the ones that aren't known in the area, they might just come in, do a fly and sale as a referral, and then fly out again. Obviously, they're just not known in the area. Really focusing on those agents that are sort of they call them the bottom feeders, but the ones that don't have predominant market share there, because the ones that have predominant market share are well known in the area. If you go up to try and combat their marketing, you're going to fail, but you can make your own. There has to be consistency in the message. Property-centric prospecting, what that looks like for me, is like 10 by 10 by 20s, which is door knocking, sold properties. Because bet your bottom dollar, if it's an agent from out of area, they haven't told the neighbours about the property coming soon. They haven't told the neighbours about the new listing. They haven't told the neighbours about the under contract or the sold results or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you've got information, and you have access. You have real-time access to that information as properties go from under contract. All you have to do is like them on realestate.com. You get told when they go under offer. You get told when they're sold. You get told when they're open. It's just a matter of like giving people information without them having to go and find it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's, property-centric prospecting or listing leverage, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of words, and there's heaps of information from a number of coaches around that as well. Like, there's so much more you can be doing, but letterbox dropping and actually getting in front of people and talking to them about actual results. Now, they may not be your results. If you are starting in an area and you are joining a brand like EXP, or you are joining a brand like EXP that maybe has other brands underneath it as well, give those agents a call and say, hey, look, you're out of area, you've sold this property on Smith Street. Do you mind if I door knock on your behalf and share the result with some clients? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to have any problems with that if it's an out of area thing for them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then becoming an area specialist, like I said, like going through as many homes, finding out as much information as possible, know the developments happening, know when shopping centers are getting built, knowing what cafes are going into what vacant spaces, what spaces are coming soon, what businesses are starting up, and just being that person. Being an area specialist doesn't stop it there. And I was listening to someone talk this morning about maybe being out of area or listing and selling away from their home, so they're not so connected to it. I completely disagree with that personally. Like, for me, like, you want to be living and breathing your market that you want to be known in. You want to be drinking coffees at the cafes in the market, in the streets. You want to be buying food from the bakeries. You know, you want to be shopping at the shopping centers on weekends and bumping into people. Like, you want people to be stopping you and saying in the street and saying, "Hey, James, I saw you sold that property, a great result. I'm so glad, you know, that property made that makes my property worth so much more." People say it all the time, you know, they're just so happy, you know, that you've just like got a great result because it makes their property worth more. Oh, great. No worries. Would you like me to reach out? Would you like me to reach out next week and do an appraisal for you? Or, hey, would you like me to pop around? What's your address? Pop around on Monday. You don't know their name or number. You've just made the appointment. You just got to remember where their address is. Do you know what I mean? So, and yeah, and support local businesses. I think we talked about. So, like shopping local, you know, retail, you
Yeah,
know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a locally owned business to be shopping local. You're still shopping in a local business that's employing local people. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like, yeah, we're big at supporting locally owned businesses, but, you know, at the end of the day, the Bunnings, they employ 40, 50, 60, 70 people from local area. So being known in those places as well is great. Especially, you know, people renovating and go in, hey, go in and tell them I've sent you in to buy that same paint that I sent these guys in to buy for. It's just, yeah, it's a great way of doing it. But playing local as well. So if you are into sport or joining local clubs or teams or whatever you can do is really important too. Supporting, if you're not in the local sports yourself, then maybe think about joining one. Join a gym. Join something that has a community that you can sort of tap into a little bit as well.
definitely. All right, cool. So, okay, and what would be somebody who's new in real estate? So they're doing all those things. What would be sort of the top prospecting sources? So you've got, prospecting around other agent signs who
Yeah,
probably are out of area agents,
yeah,
networking with local businesses, like you said, the brokers, the solicitors, all that sort of thing that may have your client before they come to you. So that's another one.
mhm.
And then what else would you say? What's one more?
Yeah. So just on that as well, it's really important. Like when you get told something from a bank, so if you meet up with a bank manager and they say, "Hey, look, we've just released this offer, which is like 4.4% interest rates at fixed year." Like I had ANZ call me the other day and say that they've done like your 30-year lens now on commercial properties,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is not unheard of. Yeah, 30-year lend, 65% LVR, and can be secured obviously against the property. But as long as the rent amount covers interest times 1.5, um, basically it services itself. There's no need to go into financials.
Yeah,
Do you
wow.
know how many people I called on behalf then of ANZ and told them about that?
Yeah,
Like
really.
amazing, amazing. Like I was like, this is an amazing product. How good is this?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, I've just done ANZ's job for them. So
Mm.
do the reverse. You know what I mean? Talk to those people about this amazing thing that you're offering people. Property health checks and equity reports and things like that. Call them, don't call them a market appraisal because the term's dead.
Overview.
Very overused market appraisal. So, equity health checks and things like that, just call them different things as well. And if you can have a point of difference and add value to that person that you're talking to, like the guy from ANZ rang me, so I could add value to my business, do the same thing for them, give them information they can't find online or they can't source themselves. And they will refer you. People, especially valuers and banks and brokers, love agents that think outside the square. There's a local broker here in Port Lincoln that refers me a ton of business. That's used me probably to sell 5 or 6 properties themselves or for their family directly as well. And every person he talks to, if they're buying or selling, he puts my name as the front runner. And he doesn't say he's the only person because there's like 18 agents now and we are a community, obviously. But yeah, he does put in a very good word for me as well. So that's really important.
Networking.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Networking is important. Yeah, really important. And there's good networking and bad networking. Like I'm not, you put me in a room of 100 people. and I'll generally stick to talking to 3 or 4 people. I'm not the best networker. I'm not good at working in a room at all. I'm out of my comfort zone. I go into a bit of an introvert state when I'm around people like that. But put me in front of one person, or put me in front of a table of people in a dining room when I'm trying to list their home, and you're going to give any information, or, that's where I perform best. Public talking isn't my forte. I've talked in front of 600 agents before and just was sweating bullets for 5 hours before I got up there. By the time I got up there, I was like saturated.
Yeah, specialties one-on-one. Well, that's where it counts, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like the quiet achiever,
Yeah. Yeah. But I've seen other agents do it brilliantly, like work a room, like just basically just spreading themselves in a room of people, like as far as they can go, talk to anyone, introduce themselves. I've got, I've got an accountant that refers me business. He's my accountant, but he does refer me a lot of business as well. They're like solicitors that refers me business. Like, they're key players that meet a lot of people with investment properties, and they're talking like self-managed super funds, which are getting more and more people are doing with their super funds and buying super funds now. So they really are people you can be, rubbing shoulders with and becoming a market expert, with as well.
Got your clients before they need you, don't they? Those kinds of people. And, it works both ways as well. They refer you, and I'm sure you refer people to them. So it's sort of like, you're helping each other, you're helping local businesses. It's a win-win-win for everyone. It's those relationships.
Yeah. And I'm really big on those local relationships, especially here. There are agents that operate in my market, which blows me away, that refer business to Adelaide brokers.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm talking Adelaide's, conveyancers, Adelaide conveyancers. They're 700 kilometers away. Like, there is local people that do a brilliant job locally. There's no need to refer business away from an area. Like, what is that person going to give you back? They're not going to meet people from, or if they are, in my opinion, from Port Lincoln, they might know 1 or 2 people from Port Lincoln, but it's not going to be a constant referral flow of business as well. So picking the people in the market is the most important part of that networking.
Yeah, I agree.
All
right, no, that's wonderful. Is there anything else that you'd like to say as well? Just tips for real estate agents, or anything?
General tips? No, look, I just think I've always conducted business, no matter what I've done. Just treat people the way you'd expect to be treated. I've got pretty high expectations of how I would like to be treated, so I delivered a pretty high standard of what I think would be a fairly good quality of service as well. So that's the best way to think about business, in my opinion.
Love it. Okay, anybody out there that would like to find out more about EXP as well, contact James. James is somebody that you can learn from. You've just heard all that amazing content there. James is looking at growing a team as well. You can be located anywhere in Australia, anywhere in the 24 countries that we're in as well within EXP. You can help people with sales, with with growing a team, general business advice, all that sort of thing. So please reach out to James. He's got his phone number and his email address here, and I'll also put that on the link below any of the videos that I put on as well. So thank you so much for your time, James, today. That was gold.
No, I appreciate it, Lisa. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks heaps. See ya.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk About Real Estate podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have a question about real estate, then please join the group on Facebook, also called Let's Talk About Real Estate. For those of you who are interested in EXP, please join us at 10 a.m. Brisbane time every Wednesday morning for EXP Explained. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, and see you next week.